10x this thing. Just like last week we showed about the guy who was saying we can manipulate time. Well, this week I want to show you how we can 10x this bioengineered stuff, because they came out with a robot that is made from human bones and ligaments. They're actually using real human bones and ligaments. And what if they use these robots to grow meat? And then when it's full of meat, it takes time, just like anything. It's growing the meat. So we don't need animals. We can just put organoids, and it's growing meat. And then they can harvest this meat off the robots.
They could just do this with cows and other animals.
Yeah, I know, but you can use a
humans.
tool. You can use a two-purpose. Like you can use robots for training, and it's out there, but it's also going to be harvested one day for meat.
Yeah, if it dies or something.
And then they'll harvest it and feed it to us. Shout out to Soylent Green.
Oh my goodness, this is one of the wildest things I have seen, and this is not your average robot. This is the Clone Alpha by Clone Robotics, and this contains all 206 bones that the human body contains, and they are fully articulated with artificial ligaments and connective tissues. Now, they're very high on the hand function of these robots. I'm going to show you the raw clip in a second, but just listen to this. The hand functions with human-level thumbs, surgical precision, a trigger finger, and it is compatible with human tools. And it's not going to walk like other robots. It says, finally, a robot that walks naturally. And it says, do it once and the clone will do it forever. They have a telekinesis training platform. I don't even know how that's possible. This technology is absolutely insane. I guess you can reserve one of these things this year in 2025, but just check out the raw clip and the music that they used.
They didn't say there was anything about harvesting, but I just thought, let's 10x this stuff. If we really want to take that next level of bioengineered meat, we can use the robot for training and get it out there in the real world. And then whenever it malfunctions, we'll just harvest it. And you can have millions of these things. I mean, remember iRobot? You have millions of these things. And then but we will have to have more shark survival kits for sure. But it's even getting on the next level. So welcome to your transhuman Thanksgiving.
I think they just need, and Campbell's needs to take a lesson. They need to take notes from Chef Boyardee.
Everybody, I just opened this can of Chef Boyardee, and look. Ick. Look at that. This is real.
It's
I
alive.
just opened this.
It's Frankenstein.
And there's worms in it.
Yeah, I see there's worms and maggots in there. But see, that tells me that there's real meat in there.
Yeah.
If this was bioengineered, they probably wouldn't be in there.
Those maybe bioengineered maggots.
Yeah, that could be, and that's probably high value.
Yeah. That needs to be
Definitely not
studied.
poor. That is not poor people food right here.
Yeah, we need to study that.
Yeah, I know. I am.
Well,
So what I'm saying though is that the Chef Boyardee meat is probably real, whatever it is, human meat or dog meat, whatever it is. At least we know it's real. Unlike the chicken in Campbell's chicken noodle soup, they just need to take notes from Chef Boyardee.
if bioengineered meat, robot bone, human meat harvesting, bioengineered or real maggots in your canned food is not your thing, it's not your jam. I get it. So what about circumcision?
Yeah, that's basically the Eucharist.
Yeah, well, all I'm saying is if meat harvesting isn't your jam, maybe circumcision is, because RFK has said circumcision is a cause of autism.
Two studies that showed children who are circumcised early have double the rate of autism. And it's highly likely because they're given Tylenol. So, none of this is dispositive, but all of it is stuff that we should be paying attention to.
Hi, my name is Dr. Rubin, and yet again, RFK Jr. is misleading the public about autism spectrum disorder. There's only one study I could find that looked into that particular question. In a Danish cohort of about 300,000 children, there was a little over 1,000 cases of autism that were reported in that cohort, and they found that those that were circumcised were more likely to have a diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder later in life. That 2 times risk was only in a subgroup in the analysis, looking at specifically those diagnosed before the age of 5. But they did not adjust for confounding factors that are very significant, like genetics, parental psychiatric history, cultural practices, which may change how people will seek medical care, a lot of different issues that weren't looked into. In addition, his claim saying that, well, they used Tylenol for these circumcisions, that wasn't investigated in the study. You can't make that assumption. They didn't actually look into acetaminophen use during the procedure. So again, he's saying things that are cherry picking little bits of information, lying and distorting reality to try to scare and confuse people into believing what he wants you to believe.
Which is, don't get circumcised, because if you're circumcised, you're going to get autism.
I wonder whoever owns Tylenol, whoever the CEO or whoever the owner of Tylenol is, I wonder what they did to make the elites this mad. Like, that they have to just do what they're doing. It's almost like they tried to make some agreement or try to strong arm Tylenol, and Tylenol people said, no, we're not doing that. For better or worse, it could have been something stupid like, you should come to our party tonight or something. They said, no, we're not going to. We'll come to the one next week. And that made them upset. Now they're going to make sure that they feel it, just disobedience, We don't really know. It's not like, Tylenol owners are doing anything good for us. But it does make you wonder, like, what they did to make the elites so mad.
Well, what's interesting is that Tylenol actually just recently, this past month or so, got sold off to another company. But the reason why is somebody had to take the fall. One of the big claims RFK was making is that he's going to get to the bottom of this autism epidemic. That's a big claim. So to make this claim justified, somebody's going to have to take the fall. Somebody.
Why doesn't he start with the water we drink?
Well, because
that's something that's been pretty documented.
It's because nobody wants to mess with Nestle.
Right. So he's not actually doing the work. He's just purposely chasing not geese, but wild geese.